You're going, I gotta go.
Yep.
I can't handle this. What do we do? I just think that me saying like it's okay to avoid situations sometimes helps people, because I think a lot of people try to like work through it. All right, you guys, so this is 3 dogs in 1 episode. It's a little bit different than something we've done on the channel, but it's basically 3 of my out-of-states, and I'm pulling all of the really great information and I'm putting here on YouTube for you guys to hopefully help you guys out at home. And of course, if you guys want to join the members club, the link is in the description below. You get access to all the full-length videos of all 3 of these dogs and all the other ones. So anyway, this is a combo, 3 dogs in 1 video. I hope you enjoy. What's the deal?
She is territorial and very like reactive, especially around like our house and the property. So like I can take her to the dog park. She likes other dogs, loves other dogs,
Good.
but does not want to be around anybody, like people. We used to travel a lot. Not saying that it's a problem, but everything revolves around her. So if we go out of town, like we can't board her or put her with anybody.
And how long have you guys had her?
2 years, right before I found her running around the dog park that we go to.
Really?
Just before the shutdown, like literally 2 or 3 weeks before the COVID shutdown. Yeah, she was a little puppy. And once I got her, because she was so sick, you know, once I got her in my arms,
She has come a long way since we've had her. She was terrified of everything. I could hardly walk her, couldn't get her in the car.
Yeah, a lot of it is you're not going to be able, I always tell people, like, you're not going to be able to tell a fish not to swim. So if you get an insecure dog, street dog that maybe doesn't trust people for a reason, maybe wasn't socialized, has stranger danger, all these things make sense. So we're not going to be able to say, hey, anybody that's walking on the property you should be okay with.
Right.
It's more about your obedience and having the ability to like go into your relative's house, tell her to go to a place and a downstay, and then her stay there. And then as you graduate and get better, you can start moving to some off-leash work. The only problem is the other people. So sometimes you just have to make the decision to say, like, maybe we won't bring her. You know, going way back, I was always like, let's work through it no matter what people do. And then I started to realize it's setting the dog up for more failure, putting them into situations with good obedience if people are still gonna break the rules to make her uncomfortable. So let's just ask her to, yeah. So do you do implied sits when you stop? Okay.
Yep.
If you're doing your auto sits when you stop, make sure that you're consistent with it. If you stop and you're supposed to have an auto sit and she doesn't, you don't have the ability to toggle between, I don't care if you stand or sit. So if she gets up, instead of asking her to sit again, you just give her leash pressure.
Right.
But that's exactly the things that we have to do. So it's more about control, more about leadership with you, making sure that when she's in a sit and I like walk by with a distraction, she doesn't get up because she's like, I don't know. She needs to go off of you. So we're just gonna do a little bit of basic desensitization by just making a little bit of noise and just starting off there, boom. If you ask her to sit and then this does this, and she's like, oh God, I gotta get up, you put her back into a sit until she can handle it.
Yeah.
So should he be giving verbal to you too, or no?
If you're doing the auto sit, the implied sits,
Yeah.
you don't say anything. So if
Right.
she gets up, immediate pressure. Either way, when she gets up and she's supposed to be sitting, whether it's verbal or an implied, you have to give her pressure back down, because essentially that's the reason why dogs will become less confident. Now when you do the place, I'm assuming it's an implied, like you gotta stay there, right?
She was really good at it when we were kind of consistent with it months ago, like when we started doing the place thing. She still kind of gets it, but since we weren't consistent with it, it's not as good. So like she places pretty good when it's time to eat. We make her place when it's time to eat. The other time I use place with her is we do have a static collar that we use for her when we let her off leash outside on the property. And she'll place for that, but it's not the best place. Like she's antsy because she sees it and she knows she's going outside. She knows.
Excited, yeah.
She doesn't associate that with where the static's coming.
All right, you guys, if you like this video and any of the other videos that you see here on YouTube, then you're gonna love the No Bad Dog Members Club. The link is in the description below. You guys are gonna get the full version of what you're seeing here on YouTube, sometimes over an hour long, as well as all the uncut stuff we don't put on here and all the things in between, the seminars, the travel. Click the link below. It's $19.99 for the whole month, and you guys can learn a lot more about what you're seeing here in the videos.
My biggest issue with him is that he is uber protective. If somebody comes over, they come in the house, and I've been, I work with him, have him on leash or put him in the crate. Like I've tried all these different things, but he still has this aggressiveness where he's barking. They've been in the house for 2 hours and they make a move and it's toward me. He gets up and growls, his hair goes up. I know it's me, there's something I'm doing. So most of this is how do I work with him to make him not feel like he has to protect me all the time or not be scared all the time.
Right. Have you had him since a puppy?
So I adopted him, he was 5 months.
Okay.
So
How was he when you got him?
he was pretty neurotic, and the reason he was given up is because he didn't travel well. He spent a lot of time by himself, just a very nervous, anxious dog. So it sounds like he's been that way from the get-go.
Have you done training with him before?
Yep, so he did 3 weeks of stay and train. He was supposed to do 2, and he failed. So he stayed for a 3rd week. And I have him in agility right now. I do every other week. He's just with exposure training.
A group class?
Not even yet. There are dogs in the rings around. It's in a big warehouse.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's just working on obedience with distraction, in other words.
He hasn't bitten anybody.
Not yet, but
Okay.
we're trending that way. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to happen.
Right.
I want to set him up for success, and something I'm doing right now is not working.
So judging by his behavior, he is, you can tell he gets really down and he gets nervous. And if he gets to somebody he doesn't really know, or he gets close to something he's unsure of, he gets low, his ears go back. And that's where you're gonna get that fight or flight type of thing. It's kind of like an old West kind of battle thing for him, as he's like, who's gonna draw first? And that's where you're gonna get the reaction, the lunge, the barking, all that stuff. That's where you're gonna get that quick, "Wow." He's not like an innately aggressive dog. He's a nervous dog who isn't gonna appreciate or like anybody he doesn't know coming up to do anything with him.
Yep.
Touching him, looking at him, putting their hand out, not gonna be cool with him.
Yep.
You can already tell just by his behavior. So you have to work on putting him into situations that he's gonna be successful in.
Okay.
So if you needed to run out to PetSmart, he's not the dog to be like, let's go to PetSmart, because it's gonna be great.
Right.
He's gonna be like, oh shit. All the people, and they're dog people, so they're gonna like, oh, can I give it? And you're like, oh God. So, but places like the trail, and maybe even Home Depot, where it's bigger.
Okay.
It's not a dog place, but they're dog friendly.
Yep.
Lowe's, whatever, places like that. You're not gonna go on a Sunday morning,
Right.
but you might go on a Wednesday night. That's kind of your management job, is to make sure that you're not putting him into situations that it's kind of like throwing a kid on a stage and they're super nervous.
So in my thought process is, what I've been coached on is you need to expose him to all this stuff. But basically what you're saying is I can take him to PetSmart 5 million times and he's not really ever, because it's a new person. It's not about how many times he's been to PetSmart. It's about, I've never seen you before. Please don't come near me. Why am I in this situation type of thing.
Correct. You want to challenge, but you want to challenge fairly.
Understood.
You're not going to go to the farmer's market, but you might go walk around the farmer's market.
Understood.
You know
That's
what I
really
mean?
helpful because again, my thought process was, he'll get there. I'm not giving him enough exposure. I'm not doing, but I hear you.
And you're just going to slow down. You're going to put him into a sit right there.
Sit.
Good sit. So right now is when you're going to get a very fighty, flighty type of behavior, because
Okay.
he's going to see you open that gate, and the gate for most dogs means we're out.
Done.
It's a portal. Whew, we're off to the next world.
Okay.
Especially with the big door. So do you use a stay?
Stay. Yes.
Okay, so we'll do stay and just grab the gate.
Stay.
Boom.
Sit.
Good. And then straighten yourself back out. Good. You're going, I gotta go.
Yep.
I can't handle this. What do we do? And that's where you're like, chill.
Relax. Okay.
Exactly.
Stay.
And just grab the handle and just jiggle. Good. Now stop. Now go back to him and then break him. Break.
Okay.
Good. Perfect. What you don't want to do is what a lot of people do is they'll say, okay, we finally passed a test that we couldn't 30 seconds ago. So let's open the gate and wait for him to fail.
Got it.
So after he does good, you break him and say, yay, we did it. And then you're going to put him back into a sit. You're going to do it again.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Yep. Good.
Sit. Good,
Good.
boy.
And then stay again. We do the
Stay.
same thing. Good. And now
Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Good boy.
So the next step, you're going to take your right foot and just move it forward a little bit.
Sit.
Good. It's okay.
Good
So
boy. Good sit.
what I would do differently is
Yes.
he's very sensitive.
Yeah.
So normally you would hear me tell you the opposite of you need to be a little bit more firm. Give him a little bit more pressure instead of a correction. So instead of snapping, just a little bit of pressure.
Okay.
Because he's kind of like, oh, sorry. So just almost like No, it's fine.
No, it's
You're
good.
doing everything right. You're doing everything that I would normally tell dog owners to do, but because he's sensitive and he's trying to figure out what the hell you've been doing, what you're
Yeah.
doing right now, when he gets up, just a little bit of pressure
Okay.
instead of the snap, because that's where he's like, sorry.
Okay.
Questions on that?
No, I mean, again, you see things that I'm not thinking about.
Correct.
That I'm impacting.
So again, it's like you come in and you say, hey, my dog is reactive or nippy or starting to get a little aggressive. I'm not gonna say, okay, let's get him riled up and correct him for being aggressive. I wanna go to the core of why it's happening. This is why it's happening. It's because when you ask him to do something, he's like, I can't do that.
Right.
No way. I can't sit here and stay. You're gonna move 3 inches from me. I can't handle that.
Exactly.
These are the types of things, because that's probably the reason why he's reactive and he's nervous and he's aggressive. He might be protective over you because you're not allowing him to understand fully that you can handle.
I've been told that. So the trainer told, one of the trainers had told me that he sees me as his little sister.
Yeah.
It's so,
Yeah,
I don't
and all it
understand.
is what we're doing.
Okay.
So if you were to come over here and say sit and stay, and he plunges through, and you're like, whatever. Your room, he loves you. Like, that's the thing, is I always tell people, like, you guys are roommates.
Right.
He loves you. You guys have a decent relationship, but he doesn't respect you. He doesn't find calmness with you. He doesn't find.
Such a jerk.
Yeah.
Why? I'm so good to you.
Right, but that's
But
it.
I give his rules, boundaries, all of that.
Yeah, but you have to reinforce it. So
As
it,
in,
like
like-
holding him accountable. So when you ask him to sit and stay and he gets up and you either let him fly or you reset him, like you're just skipping steps.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're skipping some steps.
Okay. When he gets nervous and he starts clinging to me,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to not let him use me as a security blanket, right? So
Correct.
This is where I get confused too, because why is he using me as a security blanket if he thinks I am not protecting him or that he has to protect me?
Think about this, is if I were to come up and give you guys pressure and walk towards you, and then he were to get nervous, he may come running back to you and then go, oh shit, I can't escape because I'm on the leash. So then he just fires off. So maybe at that point, it's not even a protective thing of you. It's just, he doesn't know what else, he doesn't have any other options. Good boy.
So main issue, number one, is reactivity specifically in the home. Outside with me, I'm pretty good at staying away from people, good proximity. I don't let people pet her. If they get too close, sometimes she'll lunge. It's never been a bite, probably because I'm just on top of her all the time. But guests in the home, when someone enters the home, she goes nuts. Most recently, my grandma was over, and Bella, and my grandma was there for like 3 days, so sleeping there, etc. I went up to hug my grandma, then she started giving her kisses. The second I stopped, it was like in a little lunge. And then just secondhand is just outside or any distractions. Obviously, there's no engagement with me.
No control.
No control.
Have you done training before?
Yes, we did the e-collar where they used it to train her how to do stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I think we talked about this a little bit.
Yes, I remember.
So we haven't used the e-collar in like 3 months because then we went the other spectrum of positive, which then she started on walks going to people and pulling towards people, which is not the best.
All right. Okay.
But that's
So let's balance it out a little bit.
Yep.
All right, that's good. That looks pretty good. So let's just stop and then let's work on a sit.
Sit.
Okay, good. So obedience looks pretty good. Put that on her. So what were you conditioning on?
They were having us start at like an 8.
Okay, so I would probably stay on a 3 or 4. The e-collar is just the reinforcer. It helps understand. You kind of understand the deal, right, with
Right.
it? Okay, so this basically, down. You hear that pop, pop?
So you use it differently than they did.
Yeah,
It's like the stim and till, and then the release you get
Yes.
from, okay.
yes. What did they do?
Sit, sit, sit,
Yeah.
sit.
So, but that's why I switched units,
Yeah.
is because this unit, it has a continuous nick. So the nick is basically pop. Like on this, I could go back down to a 1. Like I can manually do it, or I can hold
Hold
it.
it down. Oh, okay.
So this has a continuous nick and a nick. This also has a boost. So and that does too, but the boost is great because you can go up in your levels to really quick correct the dog after they understand the behaviors and understand the remote. So we're gonna work on a 4. Okay, so it's gonna be behavior, release. She's sharp on her obedience. So you should be holding the pressure down until she gets into the position.
Oh yes, actually one question. So we're doing it the first time we ask. It's not we ask and then we do?
Correct, because and the difference between the way that trainer particularly will do it, like the majority of their franchises, is they immediately go into correction. So if the dog doesn't do something, they get a correction.
Right.
Where I'm actually using a lot of negative reinforcement, which I find to be actually hardly any stress at all for the dog, because they're understanding the stimulation before we're ever using it as a correction.
Okay.
So we say down, tuck, 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 tuck. Yes, good down. Okay. If we say down and the dog doesn't down, after the dog really understands the remote and is very comfortable with it, you can certainly use it as a correction. The difference between the slip collar and the remote collar is the remote collar is in association with your verbal anyway.
Okay.
They're tied conditioned together.
Whereas those can get kind of more out of sync.
And the slip is more of a reinforcement if the dog doesn't do something, where the e-collar is tagged in together, 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 together. And all the e-collar does is say, hey, we're doing something. Hey, we're doing something. Yeah. What you were doing before is, we're doing something. And they're just like, oh, sorry.
Heel.
So you just want to influence it very positively. The dog should really enjoy the remote collar training.
Sit.
Nice. Well, let's work on your obedience, your healing, whatever you want to do, really.
Okay.
And I'm going to get the fake dog out, and then we'll see. Because basically what I'm trying to replicate is the problems you're having, which is once there's a big distraction, or once you go outside, or once something is more distracting and more currency-based, that's when she doesn't do as good.
Heel. 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 Heel.
So that's the stranger danger bark. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Sometimes dogs literally come from all the way from California and they don't do anything.
Right.
People are like, what the hell? The place command will have huge impacts in your life with her, because it's just like, again, this is all micro, macro type of shit. Like if you tell her to sit and she's like, yeah, I'm over it, that sucks. But if you have the place command and you say, I want you to go to your place and you have to stay there until I release you, then all your relatives, as long as they're being good, if she's in her place and you're like, yeah, she's good, we've been working on this for months, you have the e-collar maybe to reinforce certain things, you can control her off leash. Those are the types of things that what I'm going to be the foundation stepping stones for you guys. So do you say stay, or do you just put her there?
We usually just say place, right?
I say stay.
You say stay? Okay.
I feel like because I'm the one that spends more time
Yeah.
with her, working
Stay.
with her, I usually say
Okay,
stay. Like
so
I'll
we'll-
put her in a place, I say place, and then I'll go stay.
Perfect,
Okay,
we'll do that.
We'll do that.
Yep, so whatever's easiest, that's the coolest thing. For me and my personal dogs, place is just put all fours there. I transfer the place to so much stuff.
Right.
So here's the problem with doing implied stuff, and this is
Yep.
where, again, you have to pick and choose what you like. If you do an implied down after a place, or you do an implied sit after a place, and you ask your dog to place on something they can't down on. So if I wanted my dog to place on that, she couldn't down on that.
Right.
So she'd be like super stressed about it, and she's like, I know what I'm supposed to do, and then I'm supposed to be like, well, do I let her get away with this? Do I not? So that's like, same thing with the stay. Like, I typically do stay mainly because I train pet owners. I don't train,
Right.
I train pet owners. They come in, they already have the wait or the stay. But the only problem is, again, is if you do like an implied stay after a sit or a behavior or a place, say you want to get out the car and you open the car door, what do you do?
Right.
You have no command to say, I want you to stay there. It's almost like a chart or a graph, think about it like that, where she kind of has this progression and you can see it on a graph, like get better and better, better and better. And if you stop, it stops. But if you keep like, oh, you're afraid of this, now you're not. Oh, you're afraid of this, now you're not. Oh, you're afraid of this, now you're not. And the more you do that too, bikes, trains, cars, whatever she's afraid of. Like yesterday, she was terrified of the place. Now she's there. And tomorrow, she won't be as afraid of the crutches. Like, so it's like kind of we're burning both ends of the candle here. As we're building confidence, but we're also really working on her obedience as well. If you guys find this video helpful, do me a solid favor, like this video, leave a comment in the comments below, subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on all your notifications, and follow me on Instagram. The links are in the description below or right here on the screen.
Heel. 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 When she's there, I'm not like.
Yeah, okay, so hackles are up a little bit. This is where you gotta work on your corrections.
Okay.
So when you're doing this, you're gonna come out, pop, like that. So don't pull, pop. So you have to come out, pop. Good, and just ask her to heel.
Bella. Heel. Yes,
Yep,
good heel.
And now turn again. This is what you normally have to do, right? Is just
Heel. Heel. Bella. Heel.
Got it. Okay.
Heel.
So we're gonna just watch the way I heel, pop. Yes, good heel. Here we go. Try it again. Heel. Yes, good. Better. You see those pops I was doing?
Can I see you do it if maybe I have that
Yes.
dog?
Heel. Heel. Ah, ah, ah. So see how she doesn't care about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably switch to a prong, see how she responds to that, because I don't like all that pressure on her.
Yeah. Because she'll power through it. She's like, I want to get what I want to get. Bella.
It works
Heel.
the same as the slip. You're just distributing that pressure, so you should get a better reaction out of it. Good, yep, just make sure you have that leverage and that pop.
Okay.
If you feel that chain start to kind of tighten, that's where you pop.
Heel.
Don't get to the end.
Heel.
Thanks. Pop, yep, there you go, that's better. Be the difference between 4-wheel drive and like 2-wheel drive. You're getting full coverage.
Bella. Heel.
Turn again.
Heel.
Yes, good, now turn again, inside turn.
Heel.
That's an outside turn,
Oh.
we'll do it again, it's okay.
Heel.
Good, and then inside will be your left leg back that way.
Heel.
There you go, nice. Good.
Good girl.
Good boy. Good boy. Good. Good boy. And then just kind of move him back a little
Wow.
bit. Good.
Wow.
Good. He's gonna go to you, and historically what ends up happening is dogs will go back to their owner if they're like this, and then the owners are like, it's okay, and they pet him and they give him attention, and they're like, yeah.
Reinforce that.
You reinforce it, right? You're telling them like, it's okay, you should be next to me. And even if you're saying it's okay, in your mind, you're like, I'm doing good by letting him know it's okay. You're still reinforcing his behavior. Bodhi, come here. Good job. Good. Bodhi, sit. Good sit. Good job. Bodhi, place. Place. Good place. Good job, buddy. He's fearing for his life almost. He's not being a brat. He's just really afraid. And that's why I'm asking him to do very simple things. And I'm standing 6 feet away from him. I'm giving him his space. But I'm also being structured with him too. Good job. Brick. Bodhi, come. Yes, good boy. So that's what I'm looking for, is I'm looking for less friction and less pressure needed to do the things that I want to do. Nice place, buddy. Nice job.
Awesome.
Sit. Good sit. Good job, Bodhi. Good job. Good response. Nice job. Good boy. So I'm just using the place to kind of get next to him. So I'm using the obedience to work on his confidence, to work on his exposure, kind of rounding things out. Break. And just making his world smaller with just the leash here. And like I said before, he is definitely stressed. There's no doubt about it, but it's part of pushing him past his limits. Buying a new house is stressful. Going on a first date is stressful. Building a house is stressful. Getting your dream job is stressful. Going on vacation is stressful. Everything in life, stress is part of it. And right now, that's what he's dealing with. He's learning how to deal with things without you, and it's stressful for him. But he's doing well. Now I'm gonna see if I need any pressure to get him to come to me. Bodhi, come. Come on. Good boy, no pressure. Bodhi, go to your place. No pressure. Yes, good place. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good job, bud. Good job. If you look at what we did with him, I had to force him to do something. And now I don't have to force him to do anything because I pushed him over that limit. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now he's just doing it because I kind of paved the way for him to do it. And sometimes you just have to push him over that edge to get better. Good job, B. Break. Free.
Thank you. This was very enlightening. Very, very.
Yeah, it
it's
was.
The simple stuff that
Yeah.
if you overlook it, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
So coming up here to Upstate Canine Academy has helped me realize that Ava can be handled by other people. Previous to that, we thought it was just my wife and I that could only handle her, and Tom proved us wrong about that and let us know that most of that was just us and not necessarily the dog and how we handled her. So looking forward to going home and continuing her training and learning a lot more on everything that I've learned and applying it.
We've worked with previous trainers before, one on the more negative spectrum of punishment and then one positive only, and neither seemed to work for her. So coming to him, I saw his videos and he explained things in a way that made sense. He introduced some new tools as well as taught us how to hone in on the tools that we already knew about or had. It's just changed her. I mean, we were able to get in an elevator with a guy, and that's a big deal. No growling, no nothing. So I'm just really appreciative to Tom and all the education he's provided.
The biggest piece for me was realizing that so much of his reactions and behaviors are because of me and the relationship that I have with him. You know, it's really important for people to build that consistent and realistic approach. That's really, like Tom really hit on that, which was there's the realism, there's the being completely consistent with your corrections, and I was not giving him direction, and I've heard this before from other trainers, but it really resonated in this session because it was between us and, you know, seeing the changes. So I think for anybody out there, it's really important to recognize that there's so much you can learn, even when you watch videos and everything you're doing. There's so much you can learn from going through the experience. It was really worth it, and if anything, what I take away from this is that I have a long way to go, but Bodhi has so much potential, and I just have to work with him and apply everything I've learned.